right, we are back on Play It Forward, and today we have Sammy Sarzoza. How'd I do, Sammy?
That's correct, Sarzoza. I mean, my mother would say Sarzosa, but
I
my
love
father
that.
did
Sarzoza.
Sarzoza. I grew up in
No.
Minnesota, so Sarzoza is just fine.
Cool. That's very fun, Sarzoza. Filmmaker, writer, producer, director, cinematographer. Thank you for being on the show today. Would you like to introduce yourself or Geeky Pheebs and Ideal Man anyway prior to starting?
Yeah, I'm Sammy Sarzosa. I'm a director, producer, writer in Los Angeles, California, originally from St. Paul, Minnesota. Living been living in Los Angeles for about 10 years, worked in the industry pretty much the entire time I've been here, done a lot of things. Was the world's premier videographer of women's roller derby for a while, was derby famous.
Nice.
I had a production company. I still do, but a production company that did commercial work in Minneapolis, and a photographer, and I mean, just creator in general.
Yeah, I get it. Artist, making it happen, surviving on your art and on your skills, and just honing it in progressively. In this show, we're going to be talking about Geeky Pheebs and Ideal Man. Very cute movie, very endearing. You were the producer and director on it.
Correct. Yep.
Yep. And I know you had a couple shots in there as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Partial cinematographer.
Partial. And so that said, as a director and producer, what is it that when you saw this script or even, before you read the script, got the idea for it, what was that thing that really inspired you, that captured your heart and imagination? It was like that feeling like, okay, that's it. I want to
Yeah.
do
The story.
this.
Yeah, definitely. The story is one of my fellow alumni from film school. She wrote the script, the short script, as an assignment, and we had graduated from film school. I had done one short, but I wanted to make the next one uh, to kind of get like a different. The first one I did was pretty serious as a crime, as a neo noir crime drama. And I knew that I wanted to direct things that I didn't write, which people would say that that is not the way you should be doing things. But I wanted to really flex my ability because I went to school I have a degree in writing, and then I have a degree in directing and producing as well. But I really wanted to not direct something that I wrote, just to get that feeling of like, so I was like, I could probably always direct something I write, but I want to develop my directing ability. So I remembered reading it as an assignment when we were in school, but then I was like, did you ever I asked her name is Ruth Chernholm. Um, and I was like, did you ever rewrite that or anything? Did you ever develop that? She was like, yeah, I thought about making it a feature or something, but here I rewrote it. And I was like, well, send it to me, because I remember liking it. And I read it, and it's about a white woman, and I'm not a white woman, but I connected to the themes of it and the idea of it, because uh the the uh the essence of the story is about um a woman kind of confronting her fears, right? And a lot of my work, whether it's directing, whether it's directing narrative, doing documentary work, writing features or TV, like all my stuff is generally floating around the idea of like facing a character, facing their challenges and overcoming their challenges, or facing their fears. And that's like a lot of my own life. So I really related to that aspect of it, of just a woman that, had to build up the courage to talk to someone,
Yeah.
to talk to like a guy that she thought was attractive. In my case, it would be like a woman, but just the idea that the theme of just, and it doesn't have to be like a big challenge in anybody's life. But it's their biggest challenge at the time, right? So like you could look at something and be like, well, that's not a big deal for me, but for that character going through that struggle, like that is the biggest fear of their life. Um, so I mean, I've had to overcome a lot of challenges in my life, being like brown from Minnesota, was one of them. And just like a lot of things. I mean, this isn't therapy, so I won't go into everything,
No,
but
it kind of
a lot
is.
of,
It kind of
okay.
is. It's like a cat. It's not the casting couch, but it is. It's a therapeutic milieu in the sense that, you know, my job partly is to, connect the dots, right, between the work and
Mhm.
the creator, and to connect the third dot, which is the viewer, and how we all relate and share our life experience together in this pool of humanity. And to really get there and to talk about that in an honest way, you can't do it without having people reveal the struggles and challenges and how they've overcome them and what they've had to face. That's just the nature of it.
Yeah, so yeah, definitely. So yeah, there's been a lot of challenges. And like at one point I was like 350 pounds, and I've lost I've lost over 100 pounds and kept it off for like 15 years. So just so there's been like so I related to the Geeky Pheebs or Phoebe Hilton in the short, um, in that way. And like she knew that she wanted to overcome the challenge, but she just didn't quite know how to, or just didn't want to take that action. And it's the idea of like living, what I really responded to, I think more than anything, was the idea of the comfortability of living in fantasy, right?
Mm,
Because she has this fantasy in the script and in the short, where she does have a relationship with this guy that she likes, even though she doesn't know anything about him. She's made up even his name.
mhm,
She doesn't even know his
mhm,
name, and she made up a name, a whole relationship. Um, and that was kind of my journey too, and that's kind of what led me to become a filmmaker and tell stories,
mm,
is because all the challenges that I did have in life, it did become comfortable for me to live in a fantasy world a lot of times. I used to play with action figures a lot, like probably to an age that is embarrassing. And if I told people, like, okay, whatever, we're all friends here, 14 years old, I was still playing with action figures, like a big imaginative, like battles and stuff. Um,
it's awesome.
but and I think for a lot of people, but it doesn't have to be that, but like I think for a lot of people it's easier to live in fantasy, because like when you're talking about risking things, and um being embarrassed or not getting it right, or failure or rejection, like those are all scary things. And but the reality of actually like facing those things, like living in reality, is just so much more rewarding, even through like all the pain and all the embarrassment or the rejection, like like because you only have one life, and we don't know how long it's going to be. And just to be at whatever moment is going to be your last, you want to be like, well, at least I did XYZ, with what the time I had. My parents had my brother when they were 14 years old, and so like I saw, you know growing up, like two people that didn't get to choose their life necessarily, and they had to make sacrifices and struggles, and I'm so glad that they did, and blessed that they did, and blessed and grateful that I have the opportunity to make the choices in my life, and to not exercise those choices, to me, um is just like, it's a sin. So I try to do that all the time. And even through like a lot of I know I chose a difficult path, being an artist, and even through all that, like I still look back and say, like, I'm glad I faced my challenges, um, and can still continue to. Um, so
Wow. Thank you so much for that, Sammy. Um, it's an honor to have you share all that with me and us today, because it truly just, having seen the film, it opens up the entire experience for me in a more dimensional way. And of course, the movie is about confronting your fears, and that is a core essential principle of it. And in your discussion and what you've shared, it's so much deepened, because there is that kind of duality context around speaking up, the fear of speaking up, right? It's just we've all faced the fear of speaking up, and no matter who we are, how comfortable, how gregarious or introverted we are, we've all faced that because there's a challenge in certain contexts to speak up and tell the truth. So there's that side of it. And then there's the side with the eating body dysmorphic reality things that involve stuffing down emotion, right?
Mhm.
And that is something we also all can relate. How do we share our truth of who we are, what we're feeling, what we might not even want to reveal to ourselves, those feelings that we don't want to feel in ourselves? And there are different ways to do that. And to, especially when you have something that is, can be, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but tends to be a habitual, addictive, whatever it is, thing, how that's another layer to say, okay, I'm going to go through the process of confronting the truth of my experience to myself and step out into this world where I don't know any support system because I've never been there. I don't know if, there's going to be a road for me. It's completely foreign. And the fear of doing that, I'm believe is, feels like stepping off the edge of a cliff, right? You just don't know what's next. So even though in this Geeky Pheebs and Ideal Man, it's a very cute kind of couples things, that theme goes well beyond this boy meets girl thing. And I think you've summed it up so well in terms of the second question to play forward is like, well, what's the takeaway for the audience? What is the gift? What is the lesson? What can we as an audience learn? And you've touched upon it, if not already just nailed it, with you're going to miss life, right? It's such a gift. It's such a precious thing. And if you're not engaged with reality, you're missing a huge component of that whole experience.
Yeah, especially like I mean, nowadays, like it's so easy to live in a world of Instagram or YouTube or or whatever, video games, or there's so much pop culture out there that makes it easy to live. That's a dimension of her character too. That's why she's Geeky Pheebs, is like
Right.
there's so much of that content out there where it is easy to, those things are meant for like a temporary escape, not to be lived in all the time, right? um and I think they're great things, obviously. Like I want to be part of creating some of that. But also, yeah, like that's the takeaway I thought is I related to her and her story. And I think Ruth and I came from a similar place, had some similar struggles. So that's what, endeared me to the story. Or um but that's the takeaway is. And oftentimes, like, it's not as bad as you think. Your imagination is going to make up things a billion times worse than what will actually happen. Or, or there's been many times in my life where like I'm just like, that was better than what I could have imagined. you know
Right.
Genuinely better. Like the surprises of life are just a bajillion times better, whether it's good or bad, than um than living in fantasy like all the time. um Especially as artists, as creatives, just, I think that there's I'm a photographer and I know a lot of photographers, and I see some of their work and I'm just like, why don't you put it out there? Why don't you, like, you're brilliant. These are great photos. And even writers too. Like I know a lot of writers, I read their things and they'll just be like, you're brilliant, like put it out there. But it's like, it's scary to do that, right? Like it's
Yeah.
scary because you don't know the feedback that you're going to get, or the result that you're going to get or not get. We live in a world of constant likes, and however many likes means that you're that worthy, when it really doesn't. um I think it's scary also because, like, as an artist, you draw from your life to create art and put it out there, and that's the best art, is art that
Personal.
is based on personal experience and stuff. So you worry, like, if I put this out there, will people know who I am? It's very vulnerable. But once you kind of learn to harness the power, I would say, and say, like, well, they don't really know. Like I could toss something out there and be sly about it, and they would. I know, but like they don't know what I've what how I drew this personal experience and put it into this work. And that's another level. That's like the next level of power when you realize that, and you're just like, oh yeah, like now I'm gonna go crazy here a little bit. Once you get over that kind of fear level, and you're just like, okay, like I can put my work out there and stuff.
Sammy, I can't help but notice, speaking to you, the level of clarity you have and confidence and truthfulness. And that all has to come from a person who has taken those risks, who has confronted those fears and has accepted themselves for who they are and has had the strength to change what may not have been working for you at the time. So all that is, there, and it shows. That said, Sammy, last question to play it forward is, how have you been personally changed since making the movie?
Oh, a lot, right? Because it was, it, um, a lot. Yeah, I mean, it really inspired me because like there was still a lot of like, even though I had gone to film school and had started a small business doing like, production commercial stuff for some clients in Minneapolis, um, I knew that there was still more that I wanted to face or take on. So after making the film, I was really like, well, what's like, what could be next? Like, what do I want to continue doing this kind of commercial work? I can make a comfortable living here doing this. Like, it would probably be pretty easy. Or I could do the hard thing, which is like go to Los Angeles, not know anybody, not have a job, and just like try to hit the ground running and see if I can make something work. And so I chose that. So I chose to come to Los Angeles here and see what I could put together. Um, concurrently, like after I made the short film, like we submitted it to be a transmedia project, and it was a finalist for a $50,000 McKnight grant. We didn't get it. But that gave me the confidence to be like, well, I must be good, right? I must be good. So let me try to go to Los Angeles to compete then. Um, and I've been here for 10 years. This film is about 10 years old. I've been focusing on writing. I really had a passion. Like that's my main thing, like photographer, writer, director, but like writing has always been the thing that's been my number one form of expression. Um, and like her character and her story, it just really inspired me to keep on pursuing things here and continuing on. Like now I have a great like support system of fellow filmmakers, a community of writers. Um, I worked for the LA Derby Dolls when I first got here. They like saved my life. My friend Amber, she wasn't in this movie, but she's been in a few other ones that I've done, short films. She helped me out when I first stayed. Forever grateful to her. Um, and I've been in the Motion Pictures Editors Guild. I worked in post production here in Los Angeles on feature films for like 7 years. Learned a lot watching. A professional movie watcher, I say. I was a former. I didn't know that was a job until I got here. And finaled at a bunch of ABC, Disney fellowships, like Nickelodeon. Countless other finalists, semifinalists. I was at NHMC writing program as well. They were sponsored by ABC and NBC. Very fortunate to have been in that program. So I thank them all the time. And just continue to like live a life here and meet new people. And that's like the heroes. It kind of set me out in the hero's journey, I guess, of just you go to a new land and you meet mentors and you take on new challenges and you learn yourself. And it kind of, I wouldn't say culminated, but like last January or this January, I guess we're still in 2023. I ran a 50-mile ultra marathon on Catalina
What?
Island.
What? Oh my
I don't
God.
have a runner's. I don't, I have a nice physique. It wasn't not
Wow.
haven't been worked on becoming this fine specimen of man, but I don't have a
That's
typical runner's body.
insane.
but I last year, like around this time, I was just finishing up training and just, I really
What?
wanted to do it, and I did it. It took me 13 hours, 9 minutes, and 59 seconds.
Holy shit.
Um,
Wow.
and that will teach you a lot about like cheering for yourself, like really pushing yourself to your
Wow.
absolute mental and
Wow.
physical limits, and just, always just believing in yourself no matter what. I mean, we're artists and we get our validation a lot of times from the outside world, but like, you just have to remember that like you have to just push yourself and remember, like, if you don't get chosen, they're not selecting on the whole picture of you as a person, as an artist, because believe me, like all the things that I didn't get selected for, or like should have people told me I was going to get, or didn't like deserve, like if they knew that I was just an intense motherfucker that just never quit and could do anything I put my mind to, like they would pick me every time.
Well, I'll tell you what, Sammy, what an
I don't know if I was
inspiration.
supposed to swear or not, but
That's no, it's great. What an inspiration. I mean, we can never our value, if we base our value on external measures, it'll never be enough. There's no such thing. We see that day to day in all the leaders of the world and the power leaders and brokers, and all the, rise and fall. What is valid, what is important is basing our worth on our measure of what it means to be human. And it sounds like you've done that. You've gone for broke, you're doing it, you're following your heart, you're following your dreams. I don't think there's any more success than that. Sammy Sarzoza, filmmaker,
there's
and
only one in the
what?
world.
Is that right? Okay,
There's only, if you're
cool.
looking at it, so I tell everybody, there's only one Sammy Sarzosa in the world, and you're
And
looking at. Sorry if
more.
I stepped on your outro.
No, no, please. I got plenty of chances. Writer, producer, director, and cinematographer on Geeky Pheebs and Ideal Man. A really heartwarming little short film. Sammy, we're looking forward to more work. I know you do some consulting. If you want to mention that, by all means, go ahead. We'll throw the
Oh, thank you.
links as well to the
Yeah,
audience.
I'm a content consultant for YouTube creators or TikTok or Instagram creators as well. Help them make better content. I have a YouTube channel called 𝙂𝙚𝙚𝙚𝙗𝙨. Check it out, subscribe, like, or reach out if you want me. I do QC for independent filmmakers too, because I did it for 7 years. So if you need to check the audio or the video before you send it out to festivals or submit it anywhere, like it's always good to have the second set of eyes that I've trained for 7 years to catch a
Awesome.
lot of things.
Awesome. Sammy, thank you so much for being on the show. Play it forward, people. We are out. Till next time. Goodbye, Sammy. It was a pleasure and
Bye.
an honor to meet you. Thank you
Oh,
so
thank
much for
you.
being on the
Thank you
show,
for having
man.
me on. I appreciate it. Thanks,
Uh,
Becca, for recommending.
that's right. Thank you, Becca. Bye.